Hey guys, first regardsman here, and I want to talk about the OMNISSIAN axe for the brand new Techmarine class in Space Marine 2 patch 12.0, and just go over some of the stronger options on this and how to actually use this weapon. Now, I've seen a lot of conversations around this axe. Some people think it sucks, some people think it's way too clunky, and I'm going to be covering that a bit and just give you my overall opinion, how you can actually use this weapon a bit more effectively. Now, the biggest issue I think people are having with this weapon is they are not incorporating it properly into the gameplay loop of the Techmarine. This is very clearly a weapon intended for Techmarine because its entire gameplay loop is dependent on your servo gun strikes. The biggest benefit of Techmarine is that he has free gun strikes that have no animation, but the gun strikes he does on his servo gun will still stagger enemies, and because of that, he has a pretty easy time with balanced weapons and setting up their heavier attacks. So if you are able to parry an enemy and just have that free gun strike there, you can then go immediately into like an overhead or a heavy attack, fire off that free gun strike and charge up your power rake on a Xenophase, power wave and riposte on a power axe, or the OMNISSIAN axe discharge. Like that is the major playstyle of this axe on top of its charge attack. Now, what is the best variant of the OMNISSIAN axe? In my opinion, that would be the balanced axe. The balanced weapons in Space Marine 2 patch 12 got a pretty massive damage buff overall, and this one launched with a pretty great stat spread, starting off with a 19 strength, 7 speed, and 13 cleaving potential. I think this option is just very good in the game currently. The block version is also quite strong, but my issue with this one is that the damage is good, but the speed is so slow on this one that there are times that a lictor will be jumping you, or like double lictors will be jumping you, and you literally cannot get off a proper overhead because it's just too slow to knock you out of it. You don't actually have a no knockback on your overhead or like your standard light attacks on this thing, and light attacks are required to get into the no knockback on your discharge attack, which is a charge attack on this weapon we'll get into later. But the big thing about the block axe is getting into a proper position with this weapon can be a nightmare sometimes, and the balance axe is just way better for that because of the 7 speed. And usually doesn't matter for a lot of the other weapons in this game, but this one especially, it is very much dependent on going into overheads or like sweeping attacks, immediately going into the discharge. So I think the balance axe is just the best for that. The fencing options are pretty good as well. I do like the heroic option because this one does take full advantage of the OMNISSIAN rush attack, which is quite strong, but I still think the balanced option is the best overall. But if you want to use these, they're not bad by any means. I think they're still usable. I think the fencing ones feel a lot better to play with. The block one does currently, but the block one does hit like a truck if you properly set it up. Now, as far as the perk tree for this goes, I do think that this is the current best setup for the balance axe. Now, I was undervaluing the Mighty Blast perk for the discharge. It gives you an additional shockwave. This does hit breakpoints to one shot or one combo of Majoris out of a light attack into a gun strike into a discharge, which we'll show later in the gameplay footage. But for now, just keep in mind that discharge, it is a very powerful option on this weapon here, and that's like the main source of your AoE and damage, outside of things like your cleaving potential on the massive sweeping attacks, and the OMNISSIAN rush being like a nightmare against the Minoris enemies, because Minoris enemies just get shit on by your rush attack. So the first thing I want to talk about here is the top tree. Now, the top tree is predominantly around free armor here and free damage. So number one, we have Perpetual Strength going into the perk here, Armor Siphon. Killing a foe with the OMNISSIAN Strike restores one armor segment. Cooldown is 60 seconds. This is a very long cooldown on armor restore for any weapon attack in the game. I mean, you look at the power axe, and this one has a 20-second cooldown for like a rapid succession kill. But I will say this will trigger on any enemy in the game. It doesn't matter if it's a cultist that you just OMNISSIAN Strike. All the OMNISSIAN Strike actually is in this game is just the lunging attack that you can just start whenever you want out of a lunging attack, out of a OMNISSIAN rush, which is really easy to trigger on a cultist if you're trying to get this armor off. And armor is very valuable in Techmarine because Techmarine is very squishy. Next perk here is Perpetual Strength, going here into the perk Static Charge. Each foe hit during OMNISSIAN Rush increases damage of 10% within 4 seconds. There's a bit of a description typo here, but like this is just like a little damage buff for running through Hormagaunts and stuff like that. I've never noticed this doing too much, but it does help a little bit. Next perk here is Amazing Iron Rush. Incoming range damage reduced by 50% while using the OMNISSIAN Rush attack. The OMNISSIAN Rush is like ever so slightly faster than your normal run speed, which means if you're trying to get in on like Chaos Guys or Tyranid Devourers and stuff like that, being able to OMNISSIAN rush them with a 50% range damage reduction on top of the fact that you can strafe in your OMNISSIAN rush means it's one of the best gap closing tools this class actually has. It's actually very powerful for getting in on Rubric Marines and really any ranged enemy that is seriously annoying you. I use this to get in against like sorcerers and stuff like that all the time. Omniscience Rush is also incredible for just allowing you to mop up Minoris, because on the Techmarine, while you're doing your Omniscience Rush will set up gun strikes for you, and gun strikes are free off a servo gun with no animation, which means you can charge through a whole horde and just regen armor off of Minoris. That is super powerful. I think the top tree is overall the best, because the bottom tree here is for this first portion we're covering is mainly about like attack speed, which really does not help too much with like the balanced version here. It's the same thing on like the power axe. These perks like perpetual speed are not like literally worthless, but they do very little in my opinion, and the top tree is just way more valuable for us. Now the best perk down here is probably Cleaving Strike. Light combo attacks with this weapon deal damage to nearby foes around the target. This basically applies an AoE around your basic light attacks, which is okay, but like I said before, the Omniscience Rush up here is so good at killing Minoris. Like the main use case scenario of this perk is to just like wipe out Minoris or apply on Majoris the Executioner perk, because this one says electric discharge damage is increased by 25% against foes hit by your light combo within the last 5 seconds. So if you're trying to like apply the bonus damage for 5 seconds on a bunch of guys, you can do that with the Cleaving Strike perk, which is why it's in the bottom tree, but I still think the top tree here is just much better because you can already hit breakpoints to one-shot them with Mighty Blast anyways. Now, the next perk here is Kill Streak. This is just no knockback on killing light enemies, or excuse me, killing enemies with a light combo. This is actually pretty decent on the Techmarine because light combo kills are usually trash, but this class actually has a pretty good light attack with a Cleaving Strike. If you want to go for like a no knockback build here, that's okay, I guess, but this only lasts for 5 seconds. Has a cooldown of 10 seconds. That's really not very strong at all, but like sometimes it might bail you out. Now, the next perk here is Supercharged Follow-Up. After power discharge, the next light attack is a powerful sweeping whirl. I think this perk sucks. I mean, there's really like much of a use case scenario for this. It's okay at best, because usually with Mighty Blast and your power discharge, you're already one-shotting the guy in front of you. If you have not one-shot him, you're probably parrying a guy, or you're probably doing a different attack, because doing a light attack after that, you're probably pretty vulnerable, and this class is very squishy. Now, we're going to move here into like what I think are the most important perks. Now, number 1, Armored Strength, and perk here, Perpetual Strength, is just like free damage buffs. But the perk up here is called Expose. Foes hit by Omniscience Rush or Omniscience Strike take 15% increased damage for 5 seconds. This is okay. This is like a free damage debuff on the enemy for you, and like that's not a terrible thing, but like I would really only use this on the heroic version, because the heroic version is also the only one I would use on the top tree all the way, because the discharge damage is not very strong. So going to things like Rampage, which says if Omniscience Rush hits 5 or more foes, the damage of all melee attacks is increased by 20% for 10 seconds. This is okay on this version because you do kind of build around the Omniscience Rush completely on this option. And you go here into things that give you more armor when you're below 30% HP for killing Majoris, and then this one will put down like a little shock grenade on top of upping your charge attack damage. That's all cool. It's a little gimmicky. I don't think it's like very strong, but like if you want to use this on the heroic option, it's pretty fun. Building all the way down the top tree is not a bad option for this, but I would not do that on the balance or block, or even like probably any other option. Yeah, just these two. I would not do that on these two. Now, for the next version here, for the balance, when we go back in time, we're going to talk about the bottom tree now, Energize. This one says, while charging and releasing electric discharge, you don't lose from heavy hits, and you cannot be knocked back. This perk is incredible. Now, the major problem that a lot of people are going to run into on the Omniscience axe is having no knockback. This perk allows you to properly tank the light attacks of warriors and Rubric Marines and stuff like that, or Chaos Spawn. The way no knockback works in Space Marine 2 is that any attack that would completely knock you over will only stagger you, and any attack that would only not like stagger you will do nothing instead. So, for example, a Sword Warrior Unblockable will knock you on your ass. If you have this perk active, you'll only get staggered back a bit, and if he's doing a normal attack, it will do nothing to you, so you can just do your discharge. So just keep that in mind. Next perk here is Rapid Charge. Electric Discharge charges 40% faster. This is pretty much a must-have in my opinion, because having Discharge on the balanced version, this is where like 90% of your Majoris damage is going to come from, even your Horde Clear against Minoris too, because like you will blow apart Minoris on top of the Majoris. And when you combine that, the final perk here that I undervalued for a bit, which is called Mighty Blast. Power discharge can hit twice, keep holding to release a second shockwave. You will hit breakpoints to just one-shot Minoris in a combo, which is very powerful for you. This weapon feels way better with like these bottom 3 perks, so I really would build this way for like both the block and the balance axe here. You could go down the bottom tree if you're using block, but I mean, for the most part, I think this is the best setup currently. Now, I'm going to go in game and show you how to actually use this weapon, because some people are a bit confused by like the gameplay loop, and that is a pretty confusing thing without like actually showcasing gameplay. So we're going to go hop into the testing arena real quick and show you guys that. Right now, here we are in the testing arena mod. Now, I want to just showcase the basic combos of the OMNISSIAN axe here. We're not going to show like the super nitty-gritty details of this in this video, but number one, you have your base light combos. This is like 1, 2, 3, and then from any of these you can hold down your attack button to do your discharge, and you can charge that up to just explode people. That's kind of like the bread and butter of this entire thing. Now we're going to the OMNISSIAN Rush after this, but to showcase this against a warrior, I just want to talk about like the main limiting factor of the OMNISSIAN axe. This is what is making players struggle so much, in my opinion. Is that this first light attack, like these light attacks, they don't have any no knockback, which means if this sword warrior smacks me, I mean, I'm non-targetable right now, but if he were to smack me, for example, it's like, turn it off here. So I'm trying to do my light attack. I'm getting bonked around. There's nothing I can do. And you're like, oh my god, my weapon is so clunky. So how do we actually circumvent this? Well, it's actually a pretty easy way to do this. So the OMNISSIAN axe, while having this like super slow attack speed, you can circumvent this by using your parry, which is pretty obvious. You're like, okay, do that. Now we have a gun strike active on him. We do not have to actually do any animations for that on this class, but we're free to do a light attack here. And now, oh, we interrupted him again, and he's just dead. So that's the big benefit of the Techmarine here, is that you can use your gun strikes on these enemies. I'll spawn another one here just to showcase it a little bit more. You can use your gun strikes on these enemies to just basically stun lock them into like whatever the hell you want to do. So there we go, and 1, 2, well, he put up his sword arm, but he's pretty much dead. Yeah, so that would be a combo, a proper one-shot combo, hitting that block. But the point is, that is how you're supposed to use this weapon. That's how you're supposed to play the Techmarine, is you need to incorporate your gun strikes, which is why I think the balanced version is so strong on him, because opening up these gun strike opportunities is just a really important part of his gameplay loop. And I think a lot of players are struggling because they're simply just trying to do this shit off the rip. But really, you want to hold your gun strike and use it when you need it, because your gun strike, you need to view this as a free staggering tool, basically, because you can hold your gun strike a while. There's nothing like really keeping you from gun striking. As long as you are not rolling around, you will be able to fire off your shot. Or like, I think even if you do roll around, you're able to fire off your shot. But the point is that as long as you are not completely stun locked, you will be able to just gun strike them again like that. See, so it's just a free stagger tool at all times. You need to incorporate that into your weapon, and that's why this weapon is built this way in the first place, because it's expecting you to do that to interrupt the enemy attacks, which is why it feels so clunky for a lot of players, in my opinion. Hopefully that makes sense. We're going to go into the other options for this weapon in a second here, starting off with the OMNISSIAN Rush. All right, here we are to present the OMNISSIAN Rush attack. I have brought in a Congo line of Hormigons to help me showcase this, and some Tyranid warriors. Now, the OMNISSIAN Rush is accomplished by just holding down your attack button. All you have to do is just press it, and bada bing, even from like a standing position, you just start to run. After a period of time, you will slow down and stop. Now, while you're in that stance, you will charge up your OMNISSIAN Rush up to 3 times. This is represented by the little flash of your weapon. So that's 2, 3. I'll do it again here. So we have 1, 2, 3, where it charges up. And that is going to help you do some impaling strikes later that we're going to showcase. Now, the 2 attacks attached to the OMNISSIAN Rush are the OMNISSIAN Strike and Impaling Strike. Impaling Strike is by far the most confusing for most players, so we're going to go into that last. But first up, OMNISSIAN Strike. All you have to do this is just hold down your attack button and then tap it out of the OMNISSIAN Rush, and bada bing, you've done a lunging attack, and you pretty much just do this off rip like immediately. It's very simple, very easy to pull off. Now, the harder one to pull off is the OMNISSIAN Impaling Strike. So all you have to do this is to run into a Majoris or above and hold down your button. That's it. That's all you have to do. Now, the amount of stabs you get is based on the charge we showcased earlier in your OMNISSIAN Rush. So if I only have like 1 or 2 charges here, I'm only going to hit him twice. And that's really all there is to it. It doesn't do like a ridiculous amount of damage, but it is good for staggering, and it will also hit guys behind him. If you're trying to do that, just keep in mind, don't let go of your button. Just hold it down the entire time, ram into a Majoris, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, for Hormigons, the easiest way to like deal with Zangors or Hormigons, it definitely works more on Hormigons, is just, you know, Congo line them and bada bing. He has gun strike for armor over and over, and that's really all there is to it. I mean, it may seem like, wow, it's really simple. It really is. This might actually be the best tool in the entire game to like handle Hormigons, like off rip. It's just free. It's free armor. This guy just like stomps on Minoris, so that's actually a really good use of the OMNISSIAN axe. And also the power discharge has a, I want to make sure people are aware the power discharge has a very, very large radius in this game. Hardly what you expect. So if we go like here, 1, 2, even that Majora's got hit by the initial. So just want to showcase that to you guys. Hopefully the OMNISSIAN axe makes a bit more sense to you now. This obviously wasn't like an entire showcase of its abilities, but it's like the abilities that most people are probably a bit curious about. So if you like content like this, subscribe for more, and as always, thank you for watching. Take it easy. Bye.